morning, or indeed hello everybody. I hope you're well. Welcome to day 18 of our Qigong challenge. I hope it's been a challenge. I hope it's been so far inspiring, aspiring, and enjoyable above anything. Hopefully you've gained a little bit of knowledge so far about you, your mind, your body, how you can integrate the both to enjoy life and to nurture yourself more. And there's still a lot more to come, So I'm just waiting for those of you just to say hello in the chat. Those of you who can't access the chat, I have managed to get to the bottom of it. It is a technical issue out of my hands, but the people that run the platform that I use are on it. So please bear with them. So it's not a problem your end, it's a problem with my end essentially, and those of you who are using a Mac. So if you're watching this on catch up, that won't be an issue whatsoever. It's those of you who are using the live chat in the live class. So let me just go through. Good morning, Bridget, Haley, Gail, Louise, Patricia, Gillian, and to those of you who join these classes but don't take part in the chat, or indeed, again, I'm doing it on catch up. So, and Jackie, hi, just seeing you crop up there. So today, it's going to be quite a technical day. A day in the sense of I'm going to be teaching you the beginnings of movement 8. And it's technical in the sense of, as always, subtle in what we do, but it's within those subtleties that you're going to maximize the potential for your Qigong practice. Remember that Qigong is not just about the physical, it's about the Qi, it's about the energy as well. And it's important that we get the movements right in order to harmonize the flow in the body, but also to make the best use of our body for the way that it was built, and so we don't hurt ourselves, and quite the opposite, so we can strengthen the body as well. So it's going to be very much a day of teaching you the new movement, at least the beginnings of the new movement, and the new movement's called Cow Gazes at the Moon. I didn't make up these names, but that's what this movement's called, the Cow Gazes at the Moon. So without further ado, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do some explaining, showing you on my body. You probably want to just observe at this stage, and then I will sort of give you the cue to get up and join me, and we'll do it together. But it's important that you observe the message that I'm trying to get across when we do this movement. And again, you use it as a visual meditation just whilst you're watching, and then we'll do this together in just a moment. So, the cow gazes at the moon. I'm going to demonstrate the movement to you, and then I'll break it down as always. There we have it. Looks simple, doesn't it? So, where do we start? We start with teaching you how to turn your body. And this is fundamental to a lot of our practice, but also it really does help us with in everyday life. You know, and I've mentioned this before, but it's usually the times that we are mindless that we hurt ourselves. It's the silly little things that we go and pick up something off the floor, or we're sitting down and we just lean over to get something, and that's when that twinge of the back happens, and that puts us out for weeks, for months, and sometimes that twinge is then always there. You know, we're then sort of almost scared to move because the back's gone before, and it repeatedly goes in that same place. So it becomes a weakness. What we do with this movement is learn how to move the torso as one piece, as an imaginary rectangle. And it's really, really important that you, from the outset, only move to where your rectangle and knees will move you to. And I'm going to explain that, but I'm emphasizing that point now because you could potentially move a lot further, but we don't. We keep the body safe until you learn the movement and until your body opens up naturally where you can slowly move a little bit more. And I'm going to go through that with this movement. So this imaginary rectangle. Now, I don't know whether these are going to make the slightest bit of difference, but I'm going to add them anyway. So I'm putting some green dots on 4 points of my body. And bear with me. I'm going to get a little bit closer to the camera, and hopefully you might be able to see these dots. If you can't, it doesn't matter so much. I'm going to point to my torso where I want you to focus on. So these 4 points are the 4 points you're going to be focusing on the torso, and they create a rectangle. So it's the qua here and here, and it's the shoulder nests here and here. All these 4 points we've already mentioned and discussed during the course of this 30 days. But you're going to work with them together now. And when you look at these points, they form, if you join them up together, a rectangle thereabouts. And we want to try and keep the rectangle as a rectangle. We don't want to distort it so the rectangle becomes an S. I'm going to show you what I mean. If I was I'm going to put my fingers on the dots here on my qua. Now, if I was to just move my shoulders, look already how my pelvis, my qua, is pointing more or less forward. My shoulders have turned, and this rectangle has sort of created this distortion. Okay, that's what we're not looking for. We don't want that to happen. We want to be able to move the rectangle. So when we move the rectangle, when I move to the side, the rectangle is still a rectangle. It's not been distorted. The way we move is from the qua. The shoulders follow the movement of the qua. So this whole movement's generated from here. So where the qua goes, my imaginary rectangle follows. You're used to that saying now, using slightly different words with the mind. But where the qua goes, my shoulders follow. And I don't keep stiff. It's not being stiff. It's just being nice, gentle with the movement, slow, so that my qua turns me. When we use this movement, it is very easy, as I was saying right at the beginning, to think, oh, actually, I can go right round. Well, if you look right round, as soon as I do this, my shoulders overturn from my quad. I can tell you now, and if you look down at my knee, I have not intentionally done that. Because I've pulled my shoulders round so far, this is as far as I'm pushing my body. I'm not going to be able to hold this for too long, so I'll end up hurting myself. But my knee is buckled inwards because it's just being pulled with the rest of the body, because don't forget, we are all connected. And this is what happens so much, and this is where injury happens. So if we learn, I'm going to go to the other side now just to create some balance in my own body, but if I, as I have over the years, taught myself to turn as one piece nice and slowly and mindfully, and I keep my knees pointing in the direction of my toes, again something else that I've mentioned many times, and as I turn, my knees point in the direction of my toes, I can only therefore turn my rectangle to a certain point. And yes, I can feel the connection coming up through my legs into my torso. And that's where I am. That's my 70%. That keeps me nice and comfortable. What it's doing is strengthening my knees. It's keeping them moving in the way that they were built to move, not by buckling inwards and really straining the insides and the outsides of the knees. Also, it helps to keep my spine correctly aligned without creating unnecessary sort of S-bends, if you want to call them that, in certain parts of the spine. If I over-rotate my pelvis, I can over-rotate my lumbar spine, putting that out. And many of us know how that feels. If I over-rotate my shoulders, I can over-rotate my top of my spine. And then that's then putting pressure on the rest of the spine as well. And it's just sort of squeezing it a bit like a jam jar. You know, it sort of, if you look at the jam jar, it goes one way and then another way and then the other way, where you screw it on and screw it off. And that's what we're doing with our vertebrae. And we don't want to be doing that. We want to keep the spine nicely aligned. You know, right back from the beginning of Wu Chi, we're lengthening the spine. So let's not undo all of that work by over twisting. Okay. The swings are slightly different when we do this because we're still using the knees and we're just free flowing. But when we come to do the movement, we're training our spine to do something slightly different now. So what we're going to do together now is practice just this subtle but hugely important movement of the torso. So if I invite you to get yourselves ready for some physical practice, please stand up or move yourselves to the front of your seat. Of course, if you're sitting, you're going to be slightly limited to how much you can move, but you are still going to be to move your whole torso as a rectangle. But don't expect large movements. You won't get them if you're sitting down. If you want to stand up just to practice this, just so that you can access your spine, then I would encourage you to do that. You don't have to stand for too long. Okay, so if you're all ready, standing in Wu Chi, knees off lock, helium balloon head. Okay, so grab your fingers and poke one finger in one kwa, the other finger in the other kwa. Remember, where you're poking is on the diagonal inguinal crease either side, and you'll sort of feel this hollow either side of the pubic bone in the inguinal crease. Good. So if you draw on your body, don't take your fingers off your body and come all the way up, follow the contour of your body. You'll arrive at the dip that we've mentioned before, the shoulder nest just below your collarbone. 2 straight lines. Let's come across so your fingers meet. And back and down to the kwa and together, which you'll probably just come underneath. It's probably about 2-3 fingers width underneath your navel. This is your imaginary rectangle. Okay. So with your knees off lock, keeping your fingers in the Kwa. I'd like you to turn, doesn't matter which way, just turn from the Kwa and keep your torso turning with your Kwa. So what you might want to do is push one side to turn one side and just release the other, turn the other way, and then push the other side, release the other side. This is using the Kwa to turn your torso. And notice that you're not turning particularly far. You could probably go further, but that's what we're trying to avoid. Okay, now as we continue to do this, sink your mind into your knees and just make sure that as you turn, so when you turn to the left, your left knee and leg is going to come back a little bit. Still keep your knee off lock, but your right knee will travel forward, not inwards, not buckle inwards, travel forward in the direction of your toes, keeping a space between your thighs. Turn the other way, that leg comes back, the other knee travels forward. Not too much. Don't put pressure in your knee. Good. We're going to do this just for a couple of minutes. We need to build the muscle memory, and in time, this is the way that we will turn automatically. So it's well worth doing this practice just as you're doing now at home, a couple of minutes here, there and everywhere. Good. So bring your awareness to the joints that you can feel moving, perhaps your ankles to start off with. Subtle, small movement in the ankles, the knees, of course. Now you're going to feel movement all around your hips and your pelvis. Now your whole torso is moving together as one, so your spine is gently rotating as one piece. Keep your head attached nice and straight to your neck and shoulders, so that when your Kwa moves, your shoulders move, your neck and your head move together with that. Okay, good. Shake out. So that's how we move the torso, specifically in this movement, Cow Gazes at the Moon. The other important, so that's the physical, all the physical stuff I've just mentioned, the strengthening and using the body structurally correctly. When we're talking energetically, Qi, this is something I'm going to go into a lot more depth next week. But just to plant the seed now, the movement of your torso by using the Kwa, as I've mentioned before, the Kwa are like both Kwa, are like sluice gates. And when you turn one way, you're sort of closing one side to open up the other. And what this is doing is encouraging, so you're closing one side to encourage the push of your inner ocean, the other side, so it can move up and down horizontally through your body and vertically through your body. So it sort of opens up here and here as you close one side. Then as you turn the other way, it closes that side to sort of almost encourage your inner ocean to go horizontally and vertically the other way. And remember, your inner ocean is your energy, nutrient rich body, inner ocean that is going to be moving your Qi. So by moving from here, you're really going to be activating all the goodness inside of you too. So it's not just externally, physically getting stronger, more stamina, but it's also working on a chi level, an energetic level. So let's come back to this. Let's practice. Now we've had a minute or two break. Let's just come back to this. If you want to place your fingers in the kwa, just to make sure you're turning from there. Turn from the kwa, left and right. Don't be tempted to overturn and think, how far can I push this? Keep yourself nice and comfortable. Knees, backs and forwards. Shoulders moving with the kwa, as is my head. Keeping my head nice and helium-like. Good. So that's how we move the body in movement 8. So let's give that a little bit of a break. If you want to sit down to do the arm part now, please do so. If you fancy standing, continue standing. We'll get back to that in a moment. Let's get to the arms now. So I'd like you to gently play with me. As I move my arms up and down, you start playing with your arms as well. Let's make this playful, joyful. Just like puppets, your hands are being lifted up in front of you. Your arms are by your wrists, and just let them float back down. And next time, come a little bit higher, making sure that it's not shoulder tension lifting your arms, it's this puppet feeling. Good. So we're going to get to the stage where the hands and wrists come up ideally in line with your face, around your nose height, if you can. If your arms can't come up this high, just work to 70%. They might only be able to come up to chest height, and that's absolutely fine. And then slowly allow the hands to come up, float up. We're going to come up to face height now. Now I'm going to just turn to the sides. You don't need to, but I'm turning to the side so you can see the position of my arms. If my shoulders were holding my arms, this is what it would look like. Can you see the difference there? My shoulders are relaxed, and that's where they want to be. There's a bow shape to my arm here. They're not out straight, they're bow-like, almost like I've got plumb weights hanging from my elbows. And my fingers are pointing diagonally down and inwards. My thumbs are doing the opposite, they're pointing diagonally up. And I've created this sort of diamond shape in front of me. Just walk a bit closer so you can see. Comes up effortlessly, and I don't use my shoulders, and down. So practice this with me, please. So the ideal, if you can, is for the hands to float up so that your vision, your gaze, is directly through this diamond window. So you're just looking forward. And just learning how to allow the arms to float up in the outer ocean using the imagery of being a puppet, lifted by the wrists. Good. Once more. but take a moment. Take a few moments, have a little shake out, please. Take on a sip of water. Some of you have commented on how thirsty you have been whilst practicing Qigong, and especially after practice, and that's really common. So as I mentioned before, warm to hot water from a kettle is the best way to quench your body's thirst and to hydrate your body. That need of water is very nourishing and cleansing for the body. And it's quite surprising how much you are using your body once you've done 40 odd minutes of Qigong practice, and which is why the cardiology department in my local NHS trust really like Qigong to teach patients, because it's a way to actually really exercise the heart, but in a very gentle way, and that doesn't follow the conventional Western way of exercising the heart, but it's still doing a huge amount. So again, another thumbs up for Qigong. Okay, so we've done the torso turn. We've learnt how to move the knees. We've learnt the first part of the arm movement. So now what I'd like you to do is, again, I'm going to come a little bit closer to the camera. I keep looking that way just to make sure that I'm still in camera shot. You don't want to sort of like just see half my nose or something. So with the hands floating up, next time you do this, yawning armpits is what we're after. So rather than the arms out too far away from you, have your hands float up closer to your torso, your body, bending your elbows. So very similar to movement 2, where we bend the elbows to create room in the shoulders for the hands to come up. And making sure that when you get to the point of past your shoulders, if you're able to get here, that it's not your shoulders that do the rest of the movement, it's the hands that continue to come up. So you're going to feel that your hands, you're doing exactly what we've just done, but your hands are going to be closer to your face, and you're going to look through that diamond window. Good. So you should be quite familiar with this. Your muscle memory will think, oh, I remember this movement from movement 2. Slightly different variation with the hands. Otherwise, it's very similar. Okay. So when your hands next come up and you're looking through your diamond window, I'd like you to turn, open up your window, as it were, from your wrists. So let your wrists open up. So now your palms are facing away from you. So at the beginning stage, they're facing you. And just by rotating your wrists, they're facing away from you. Towards you, away from you. Towards you, away from you. Good. And now relax your arms. Have a shake out. As soon as we start doing this, tension starts to build in your upper arms and your shoulders, because we want to hold it up high. It's just something to note that will probably happen, and be sure that when you do open your window, that you just make sure that it's coming from your wrist, and you just keep your shoulders low and it doesn't come from your shoulder. Okay, all that is practice and noticing. It's noticing all tensions being created. If that happens, lower your hands, rest for a moment, let the hands float up again, and open up your window. Do it a couple of times. Relax your arms, hands. That's the best way to practice this, to teach your muscles that you don't want your shoulders to do the movement. You're training yourself in a completely different way rather than what we're so used to, and that's using all the tension that we've got built around our neck and our shoulders to move anything with our arms, which is what we're trying to avoid doing. How are we going? All right. As I said, it's quite a technical day. We're going to add this all together. It seems a lot now, but once we put it all together, hopefully you'll be able to add all those little bits of the jigsaw and it will become a nice puzzle completed at the end. So let's just do the arm movement again. Up, closer to you. Look through that diamond window. Now turn your wrists, and what you'll find is your diamond window, from being a horizontal view, is now slightly angled. You're looking at through your window now. I'm not tilting my head back, but my eyes are now just looking up, and they're looking forward, and they're looking up, and they're looking forward, and they're looking up. Again, that's one of the subtleties that helps, just to use the eyes in Qigong. Good. Relax your arms nice and slowly. Good. So let's just have a quick recap. Torso, turn from the Kwa. As the, by all means, take a break now. As the Kwa turns, my whole rectangle turns as one piece. My neck attached, head attached, knees, backs and forwards. Good, and I go slowly. My knees are always off lock to enable me to move. If my knees are locked, I'm not going to be able to do this movement at all. Okay, wonderful. Now, isolating my arms from my body, bend my elbows, yawning armpits, hands float up, not my shoulders. Looking through my diamond window, I then open my window and I look slightly up, close my window, open my window, close my window, and down. Good. Okay. So now I've opened my window. I want to extend my arms away from me. Let me show you, and we'll do this together. Rising up. And as I open my window, I'm just going to extend my arms away from me. And as I close my window, I bring my hands back to where we originally started. So the only difference here, again, let me stand to the side to show you. Hands rise, keep them close. Then as I turn and open my window, I extend my arms away from me. They are still bow-like, they haven't locked. And then as I close my window, I bring them back towards. Extend, open, close. Open, close, and down. If you're unable to bring your hands up high, or after a good 20 odd minutes of practice you're thinking, cool, my upper arms are aching, then please remember, take a break. Alternatively, you can bring your hands here and just do the movement where you are comfortable, at the height you're comfortable to do it. And down. The only difference being you won't be looking through the window. So let's practice this together. The arm extension. Bend elbows, open up the armpits. window. Now I'm going to open up the window and extend my arms a little. Close the window. Bring my arms and hands closer. Good, let's do that again. Extend, open, close, close. Once more. Extend, open, close, and down. Take a moment, have a shake out. So some days, as I mentioned before, are a little bit more technical in order to be able to teach you the new movements or something different. And some other days will be just full of practice and the joy of practicing. But we need to know what to practice and how to practice it correctly. So you'll find that in my live classes as well, that sometimes they're more technical, the days of teaching, and sometimes it's the joy of practice and we just practice what we've learnt. And more often than not, we'll do that for several days. This week, we're doing it every day this week, just the joy of practice. Okay, so my dear friends, settle yourself into Wu Chi. Knees off lock, connect your three treasures, smile. If, and ideally, you remember to connect the tip of the tongue to the roof of your mouth. Good. So, let your hands really slowly just float up, so you're conscious that there's no tension in the shoulders. Be sure to be closer to your body. Feel the armpits open and yawn. Good. Now with your hands here, I'd like you to turn, doesn't matter which side you go, your rectangle from your kwa. Come back to the center. And now the other way. Just go from one side to the other. And now you'll see that because your arms are connected to your shoulders, connected to your torso, and you're moving it as one piece, just by moving your kwa, the whole top half of your body is moving as one. Good. Back down. Shake out. Good. Let's do that again. Turn from the kwa. Relax your shoulders, soften them. Keep an eye on your knees. That's a mental eye, by the way. And back to the center. Good. Shake out through your arms and the body if you wish. Wonderful. Okay, so now we're going to add the extension of the arms to the movement. This bit here, the opening of the window. We'll do this together. I'm going to do this super slow. Please join me. Hands float up, close to you. Now, as you turn, whichever way you're turning from the kwa, open up the window. So remember, opening up the window is the arms extend as you just rotate from your wrists. Now when you come back to the center, close the window. So your hands just come back in and closer to you. Turn to the other side, open up your window. Come in, close, open up, extend away. Remember your torso, that you're not over twisting. Close the window, open the window, close the window, open, and back to the center, and down. And there you have it. Well done. Cow gazes at the moon. Now you know what I mean by technical. Well, the beauty of Qigong is all these hidden bits that make it the Qigong. So it's all of these bits of how to move, why we move, how we breathe, which I'll get to in a moment with this movement, that make Qigong practice such a profound, deep practice. It isn't just a gesturing of arms and legs that you may see in a YouTube video and you see someone doing this Qigong. Qigong comes from the inside and grows like a seed from within you, and you become that flower, that tree, and you move with what you have nurtured within you. And that's all of these techniques and these skills and your breath. Now, cow gazes at moon is probably one of the most challenging for upper arm and shoulder and neck as far as tension's concerned. So expect that, okay? Don't think, oh, I can't do this. This is really, we can all do this, but please just remember, if you're thinking, I just can't get up here, then the movement happens like so. And that's fine. And what you might well find in a few weeks' time, well, you've helped your shoulders open up and your upper arms, and you've gathered a bit of strength and stamina up here, so your hands may well get a little bit higher. If your balance is challenged and you're doing this and you can't do it all because of balance issues and health issues, then I would invite you to stand up, hold on to the back of a chair, and do just the torso movement. Hold on to the back of a chair and just do the torso movement. Just a few times, little and often, and this is going to help encourage movement in your ankles, knees, all around your pelvis and your hips and your spine. And that little and often encouragement of movement, it's that movement of not only your joints, but the fascia that hold your joints that movement creates the lubrication, the hydration, and that's what's going to get you moving again, and stability and strength. So before we go to the live chat, and hopefully it's working for some of you, is that we're going to practice this movement just a few times more, just to embed it, to embody it into our systems. Standing Wu Qi. Okay, soften those knees, make sure they're soft, good. Bend elbows, hands float up, close to the body, nice and slow. Turn from your kwa, open your window, extend. Turn back to the center with the kwa, close your window, come close. Turn the other side. Keep your shoulders low. Each time you open up your window and you extend, bring your awareness to your shoulders and keep them low. Good. Okay. So now, next time you come back into the center, I'd like you to take an in-breath. An out-breath as you turn and open the window. In. Out. As you breathe out, soften the shoulders. In. Out. In. Close. Out. Open. And back to the center. And down. Narrow stance. Let's close. Nice long extended inhale. Extended exhale. And class. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today, and a technical day, lots to take on board, but nonetheless, that challenge is good and exciting, I hope, for you. Please ping any questions through the live chat to me, and I will try and hopefully help you with any answers. Okay, Gillian's come up with a question already. Hi Gillian. Does this movement strengthen the core? Absolutely it does. It's when I had major surgery on my spine, I used this movement and others, but I remember really working with this movement really gently to begin with, and not only did it strengthen my core, but it also helped me keep my spine mobile and agile. And I think that's a something that's needs to just be considered for a moment. Is that there's very much a thought out there that having a very strong core is good for our body, and yes, it is, having a strong core, but having a core strength that is so strong reduces the mobility of our skeleton and our spine, and it starts to become rigid. And we need to be able to use the body the way it was designed, and having such strong muscles that hold us up so tight, well, this happens and this creates rigidity, and it doesn't allow us to breathe properly and all of the other functions of the body. So there needs to be a balance of core strength and mobility. So that's where the Eastern perspective comes in. And for me, having serious spinal condition and the way it affects the rest of my body, I can honestly say that I do feel like I have a strong core. yet it doesn't prevent me from being nice and supple and mobile. So when I need to move quickly or reach down or play with the dog or play with the children and have our little hustles and bustles, I can do that because I'm mobile too, rather than being upright. Your shoulder blades, right hand shoulder blades and lower back aches. Absolutely. When you're doing this, we're all connected. You're going to find parts of the body that you haven't engaged in a long time. And like I said, we shouldn't underestimate the simplicity of these movements and how they're affecting other parts of our body. And towards the end of the course, I am going to talk to you about how the body is linked, which will sort of confirm what I've just said and what you're feeling, that you can move an arm like this, but it's getting you down here. As I mentioned a week or so ago, you could have a problem with your foot and that can affect your neck because we are linked through connective tissue. Again, that's going to be a separate class that I go on about. You will find that. Shake it out and move. Don't try and keep stiff if you're feeling achy. It's good just to keep on shimmying, and shaking is a good way to release that tension. And water, drink water. Okie dokie. So, Dennis, could I do a PDF with all the different parts of the body that I'm talking about? Yeah, I'll come up with some sort of glossary for you with the terms that I use. That will, and what that will do is that will probably organically grow the glossary, because I might use terms or think about a term that I use and I'll add that on. But it's a good point, Sid. I'll create a glossary and I'll put that up both on Slack and on the resources section of the catch-up part on the website. Jackie, yeah, there's a lot to coordinate. There is an absolutely, but it's like I said, it's a challenge, and throughout the course of today, tomorrow, what we're going to do is just consolidate all of our practice, so it won't be any more technical. We'll be focusing on this movement and all of the others, just to remind ourselves, into the weekend, where you're going to be able to focus on the movements that you feel like you need to learn a little bit more. And then if you want to, you can practice that. We'll discuss that tomorrow. But there is quite a bit to take on board. Please don't feel that during these 30 days or during each of these classes, you need to perfect and become completely proficient with every single movement. It is not going to happen. I have students with me that have been studying with me for years, and it doesn't matter how many times I said that to them, they would want to perfect it. And as soon as they thought that, it almost became even more of a challenge and became even more of a barrier for them to enjoy it. Doing these movements, that's the whole point. It's the doing of them. And yes, I'm being quite technical in order to get the most out of them. And in time, you will get there. But if you know what's needed, in time, you will just slowly add these little bits and bobs just to be able to get there. So don't feel that, oh, I can't do this movement. Just by doing your version of it is doing the movement. And in time, something will click, because you're not trying too hard, you've relaxed into it, you've opened up a part of the body that was tight or tense, that was restricting the rest of your body, and then that will open up to something else. So remember, Qigong is about enjoying the journey, not just the destination. Qigong is about enjoying the walk, and sometimes that walk is a slightly steeper, sometimes it's downhill a little bit easier, but it's not about just waiting to get on top of the hill to get the view. It's about enjoying that whole journey up the hill. Sid, yeah, I'll add what they mean as well, not just not just some words, random words for you, and that I pick out the. Heather, you were just doing your the visualization today. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to hear that you had a slip yesterday on the ice. Absolutely right. Joined in, still took part, visualize doing what you were doing with this new movement. And when you're ready and you feel able to, you can just again start from here and slowly work up. But I do hope that you haven't injured yourself. Good. So it looks like the messages sort of come to an end. Tomorrow we will consolidate this week's practices and set you up for your own self-guided practice at the weekend. And next week we will complete the form. We will slowly work with the warm-ups just to give you an inkling of what they are. It's not about perfecting them, it's just about giving you an awareness of what they look like and what they feel like, so you can practice them hopefully in the live classes, should you want to join those after this course. And then we're going to start to work with very much the Qi side of Qigong, and I'll look forward to sort of teaching you the skills and the techniques that I've created and shared over the years for us to do that are always bring a lot of joy to teach, but to practice as well. So I look forward to that next week. But in the meantime, look after yourselves, look after each other, keep safe, especially on these icy roads. Wishing you the best, very best, Heather, for a speedy recovery. Remember, try not to sit stiff, shake those aches out if you can, and breathe. Just breathe. See you tomorrow for day 19. Bye-bye.